Morning. Today we're gonna make pickles. These are some of my pickles that I made the other day with stevia, but today I'm gonna be making sweet pickles for my grandson, Kurth, who lives in right outside of Boston. So I was up there a couple of years ago and we made some pickles, and everybody up there loves them. All his friends love them. Liz, his wife, her family loves them. And so I thought that we had a few cucumbers today. I'm only gonna make like 4 quarts. The recipe makes 7 quarts, but I didn't have enough cucumbers for that. And when I make these pickles, my pickles with stevia, I'll only do 2 or 3 quarts at the time, because I've got my recipe down to where I know just how much vinegar, how much stevia, how many spices. And so it's just easy for me when we have extra cucumbers to just do 3 or 4 jars at the time, 2 or 3 jars at the time. So this morning, I'm going to show you how I do my sweet pickles with sugar. I do them exactly the same way that I do them with stevia. I just use sugar instead of stevia in these. So these cucumbers, you can see what size, the size that I cut them in. You just cut them in little rounds, about that thick. And these have been soaking in lime. This is called pickling lime. It's for extra crispness. And I soak them in the lime water. It says up to 3 hours, but I usually try to do it overnight. It makes a lot crisper pickle. So you just mix 1 cup of the lime with like probably ever how many cucumbers that you have in your bowl. Now, when I do just 2 or 3 quarts, I cut it down to like 3/4 of a cup of lime. But this is almost a whole recipe today, so I put the whole cup in it last night when I cut my cucumbers up. And this is my little kitchen scale. I weigh my cucumbers. The recipe calls for 7 pounds. Today I have 5 pounds, so I have adjusted my recipe to that. Now, what you have to do is you go in and you take your cucumbers out of your lime water, and we're going to rinse them really, really well, because we have to rinse all of that. Sorry, I got a phone call or I got a text, and when I get a text, it automatically cuts that camera off. So I put these in here, and I'm going to rinse all this lime water off, and you have to do it 2 or 3 times. So what I'll do is I'll just bring my faucet around and I'll just rinse them really good. And the reason I'm doing it this way is because most of that lime stays in the bottom. You don't get many on your cucumbers, where if you were to pour it down the drain. Now I can pour my lime water down the drain because my sink, we've got it run way out near the woods. It doesn't go in my septic tank. My washing machine and my sink doesn't go in my septic tank. You cannot put this down the drain. You cannot put lime water down the drain if you have a septic tank. So always know that. But see all that, most of that lime stayed in that water. So I'm going to put that right here. Now I'm going to start. And you want to be very careful when you're rinsing these, because they're really crisp and they will break. So I'm just going to rinse them really good, and I'm going to put them in this bowl right here. And I'm going to finish doing this, and I'll be back with you in just a minute when I get all this lime rinsed off of these, and we'll go to the next step. Now, as you can see, I have rinsed all the lime off of these pickles, off of these cucumbers. They're not pickles yet. A lot of people call cucumbers pickles, but they're not pickles really until you put vinegar and sugar and make them pickles. So this is 5 pounds. Now, you see this pan? This is the pan that my mama used for all of her pickling, all of her canning. as long as I can remember, from the time I was a little girl. And this was my granny's pan. So this pan's probably over 100 years old. As a matter of fact, it's so old, it doesn't even, you can't even tell who made it. But whoever did it, it was a good company, because this pan is, I know it's over 100 years old. So I use it when I can my peas, my butter beans, when I make pickles. I can still see Mama standing at the stove making her pickles. And because growing up, we had a big garden. Daddy hunted, he fished a lot. That's how we ate. We ate out of our garden. We didn't do a lot of canning. We canned tomatoes, we canned green beans, but we had freezers. And so most of our other things went in the freezer. And so about the only thing Mama canned was tomatoes and the green beans. And so, but now, in this, the recipe, this is 2/3 of a recipe. The recipe that I use is on the back of it's Mrs. Wage's pickling line, and it's on the back, and it calls for 7 cups of cucumbers, 1 cup of lime, and 2 gallons of water. That's when you're going to soak them overnight. Now, for 7 pounds of cucumbers, it calls for 8 cups of vinegar. Now, it has to be 5% acidity, and that will be on your vinegar bottle, as I can show you in a minute. 8 cups of sugar, 1 tablespoon of, this calls Mrs. Wage's pickling and can. I do not use the salt. I don't use that. I've never used it. Mama never used it. 1 tablespoon of Mrs. Wage's mixed pickling spices. I don't have Mrs. Wage's, but I do have Ball. And Ball is a big they sell a lot of canning supplies. So you can get McCormick's, you can get Ball. This one just happens to be Ball. I've never used the Mrs. Wage's. I don't know. I'm sure it's just as good. So I'm going to, I have adjusted my recipe. This is 6 cups of sugar. That sounds like a lot of sugar, but let me tell you something. These are delicious pickles. And I'm going to put 6 cups of vinegar. And usually it has it on the front right here, 5%, what percent of acidity you've got. But this one, I've had this one stored out in a building. Vinegar never goes bad. So I know I've probably had this one probably a year or so. But right here in the ingredients, it says 5% acidity. So,
and there are some industrial strength vinegars out there that are higher, so you do not want those. Okay. So as a warning, make sure you get to 5%. That's what you'll find on most of your grocer shelves.
Yeah, you do not want anything higher than a 5%. So I'm going to put 6 cups of vinegar. That was 2. 4. 6. Okay, now that doesn't look like it covers the cucumbers real well, but when that sugar melts, it will. Now, it says 1 tablespoon of pickling spice. So, here is my pickling spice. And I put just a hair over. And that's what it looks like. It has cloves in it. It has all, let me get this bottle, honey, and I'm gonna read the spices that's in. Oh goodness, that's a little, ain't no way I can read that. That's a little bitty writing. It has pepper in it. It has, oh good grief, allspice. It has red pepper.
They can get their magnifying glass.
Yeah, you'll have to. I surely can't. So,
just put it in some cloth.
All right, this is cheesecloth. If you don't know what cheesecloth is, this is called cheesecloth. It's used in jellies. It's used in preserving. It's used in pickling. It's used in a lot of different things. So if a recipe calls for cheesecloth, that's what cheesecloth looks like. And you just make a little bundle like this. Now, usually, I use a twist tie. because it's easy for me. You can cut little strips like this off your cheesecloth and tie it if you want to, but this rubber band is clean and it's easy for me. It's hard for me to tie it with that little strip. So let me do it one more time. So it's tight. I don't want that spice to come out of there. Nope, that didn't do it. Let me do it again. I don't want to break my rubber band. But I don't want this spice pouch to open either. So you just put that down in your pickles like that. I got a spoon right here. And I'm not going to stir it much because the sugar's going to melt as the pickles cook.
And your pickles break, you said.
Yes, they will. They will break. And if you have if the cucumber is very big, you see the center right here, that will come, if you handle them too much, those seeds will come out and you'll have a little hole in your pickle, which is fine. They'll be just as good. But really, you don't want to use big cucumbers. This is the biggest right here that you want to use. These are the best. These are a little big because you can see the seeds. But
nickel to quarter is what you try to get.
So I'm going to turn this on medium high. Now these are going to have to cook about 30 minutes. So, and I cook them on medium. I don't cook them on medium high. I put them on medium high now, but once they get to boiling, then I turn them down to medium and I let them cook for about 30 minutes or until they get translucent. This cucumber right here will be like a translucent. You know how an onion is when you saute it? You put it in, it's white, but then it turns translucent. This cucumber will do the same thing. The center of this cucumber, oh, and you leave the peeling. Always leave the peeling on them. The center of this cucumber right here will get translucent. So we're gonna let these cook. We're gonna let them get done. And while they're cooking, I've got a big boiler here, a big pan, and it's full of hot water, and I've got it on low, and it's sterilizing my jars. I washed my jars real good, and I'm sterilizing them in this hot water, and I will leave them in here on low until my pickles get ready. And in this little boiler, I have my lids, which are these flat. These are your rings. You really don't have to sterilize these because all they do is tighten your lid down. So I've got those in here, and when my pickles get done, I'll turn these on high and I'll get them really hot and I'll sterilize them. So I will be back with you as soon as our cucumbers get ready to put in the jars. See you. Okay, I told y'all that you cook these till they were translucent, and as you can see, it took about 35 minutes, but you can see what I mean when I say translucent. It's like you can almost see through them.
They're not white any longer.
No, it took them about 35 minutes, and my jars were in that boiling water.
And she just took them out and put them over there.
And now, you just put your pickles. Now, they're pickles. You can call them pickles now. So, and this little jewel right here, as you can see, the condition it's in, this was my mama's.
World War I and World War II, right?
I don't know why it's like that. I have no idea. It was like that when she had it. I'm sure there was a purpose in why she did that. I'm sure she had a reason. I don't know what it was, but it works really well. It works good for me. And so, matter of fact, it's the only one that I've got. So you just put these, take a spoon or a ladle or whatever you want, and I've still got them on medium high, but I'm fixing to turn them off. And you don't overcrowd them, but you put, you know, a full jar, but you don't overcrowd them. So I'm going to, honey, let me get a cup right here. So then I just take a cup and you fill the jar up to this rim right here. You leave like an inch head space in your jar. These are beautiful. Look at the color. They're so clear and so pretty. I could have got a bigger cup, but that's okay. All right. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to mash it down a little bit. That's what you want right there. Now, as you can see, the juice comes to that line right there. That's called your, from there up is called your head space. And that's what you want. And I've got a little bit of vinegar in a little cup right here. And you take and you clean your jars off really well. Get anything, any vinegar or whatever off of it. You clean it real good. And you go around your jar lid, your top of your jar here, and you make sure that there are no chips in it. No chips, no cracks or anything, because you cannot have any chips on your jars. So back here, I've got my lids and my hot water, and I had my rings in there. So I'm just gonna screw the lid. Now, don't screw it down real tight, because I'm gonna put this jar back in this big pot of water here. You just wanna tighten it till you don't tighten it down. You just tighten it to where it's
a little snug.
A little snug, yeah. That's the word I was looking for, honey. But I'm gonna put it in there. And then I'm gonna finish filling these. I'm gonna have 3 more jars. I'm gonna fill these. And then I'm gonna put them in this water. And you want it to come about a 1/2 inch or an inch over the top of your jar. And I've got it on high right now. I'm putting it on high. And I'm gonna process these jars, these pickles, in this boiling water for 10 minutes. That's called a hot water bath. So I'm gonna finish filling these jars. Then I'm gonna I'll come back when I get them all full and show you what they look like in here, and then I'll process them for 10 minutes. So
one reason you don't tighten that jar, when you put them down in this water bath and keep heating them, you're driving the air out the top of the lid. And if you tighten it down, you can't drive the air inside the jar out. So you tighten it down after you have driven the air out, and then let them cool and they seal. So there's a purpose for not tightening the jar down too tight and just leaving it snug.
we'll be back as soon as I get the rest of these filled. Okay, this is my last one. This is my 4th jar. And I'm having trouble getting that lid over there. Sometimes they're, okay, there we go. I don't have one of those little magnets that people use to reach down and then get it, because I don't do that much canning. Okay, I've cleaned my lid. Now I'm going to put tighten it down, just like that. Now.
Snug it.
Yeah, just snug it. I use this to put this down.
Let me show them how that hooks. Hold it.
Hooks around the...
Below the glass, not
rim,
the metal.
The rim of the jar.
Yeah.
Now, this is almost up to a boil. So I'm gonna put the lid on it and kind of cock it so it'll come up to a boil quicker. After it starts boiling, I'm gonna cook them 10 minutes. Then I'm gonna take them out. And what's gonna happen as that juice, as that syrup in that pickle cools down, you're gonna hear a pop, and it's gonna, all the air has been pulled out of that jar by heating it like that. And so it's going to what we call seal. And I'll show you when I take them out. But if it doesn't pop, and if you can touch the top of that lid and it's still got a little spring in it, it didn't seal. You're going to have to redo that jar.
You have to have a vacuum seal.
You have to have a vacuum seal in it, and that's what heating it in this water does. Now, as you can see, I've got more juice left here. Rolly will eat these few pickles, but I will put this in a jar, put it in the refrigerator, and I'm going to make her some more pickles when I get a few more cucumbers, so I can reuse this vinegar. I'm not going to throw this sugar and this vinegar away. I will use it in my next batch. I will just add it too. Now, these pickles are delicious to just eat straight out of the jar. They're delicious in deviled eggs, potato salad,
slaw. Oh my.
Coleslaw.
Coleslaw.
It's a whole different dish. When you use homemade pickles in your salads and in whatever you want to put it in, it's a whole different dish than the pickle relish that you get out of the grocery store. Now what I do, I'll take a whole quart jar, I'll put it in my food processor, and I'll make pickle relish out of it. Put it back in the jar, put it in the refrigerator. So every time I get ready to make a salad or deviled eggs or whatever, when I get ready to use it, it's already ground up. I've already made relish out of it, and it's in my refrigerator, and that makes it a lot easier for me. You don't have to do it that way. You can use your food processor, you can cut them with a knife, you can chop them, ever how you want to do them. If you want bigger pieces, I chop them with a knife. But if I want it like in relish, I put them in my food processor. So this is going to cook 10 minutes, and when it comes out, I'll show you what, but you see there's like an inch or an inch and a half of water above the jar itself, and that's what you want. So when it comes to boil, I'm going to let it boil 10 minutes, and then I'm going to take my jars out, and I'll show you what I'm talking about when I talk about the little spring on top of the jar lid. So be back in a minute. All right, these have been boiling. Honey, if you'll look over in here, you see how it's boiling? These have been boiling 10 minutes. So do not let them cool in this water. Take them out of this water. Now be very careful. These are hot, hot, hot. That's the reason you want something like this that's got the rubber on it, so it will, and you squeeze this really tight. You be very, very careful when you're doing this.
And don't squeeze on the lid. Get below the lid on the glass, as you can see there.
Now, do not let them cool in this water. Take them out of the water after they've been in there 10 minutes. Now pints, I only do like 5 minutes because they're half the size, but 10 minutes is what it calls for when you're doing a hot water bath like this. Now, honey, get real close and see, okay, did you hear that pop? All right, that one just popped. There's a little indentation. Let me get the water.
Well, if you'll look at that one, that's pressed up in the middle.
Yeah, let me get the water.
As they cool, that's going to pop downward as the vacuum pulls the top of the lid, the middle of the lid.
That jar.
And see, that one's sticking up. Now let's look at this one. See, that one's indented.
That one is indented. It just popped. It went pop.
You can see from this angle that it's indented across there.
And that pop means it sucked that.
And seal the vacuum.
And seal that vacuum, yeah. So I'm going to take the water off of these. And I can do it just by, did you hear that pop? Oh, yeah, it doesn't matter. All right, but I usually wait for it to do it itself, but you can.
Well,
Now these
It
are,
helps
this
you to
one
know
won't.
that it is sealing properly
Right.
if it pulls down.
Right, so I'm not going to do these. They will do it on their own, but I just wanted to show you what it was like. So this is our pickles. We had, oh, that was a big
That was a
pop
good
then. Kurt, these are for you. I'm going to, when we get more cucumbers, I'm going to do some more before I ship them to you. So these are better after they have sat probably a couple of weeks. I mean, you can eat them now. They're delicious now. I had a few left right here in this, some of this juice. And this is the juice that I told you I was going to put in a jar and save till next time. So it doesn't have to be sealed, but Roy will eat these. Promise is here. She'll probably eat some. But they're delicious. Kurth, honey, you're going to have some pickles on the way as soon as I make some more. And so I love y'all. I hope y'all learned something. And I hope you really, really try this recipe. If you've never had homemade pickles made like this, they are absolutely delicious. And so if you can get a hold of cucumbers and make your pickles, you won't buy pickle relish anymore in the grocery store, I can assure you. So I love y'all. Follow, share, and comment, please. Love y'all, and God bless.